Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. Welcome to English grade 7 video lecture series. Students, today we are going to cover a very interesting student learning outcome from grade 7. We are talking about our unit number 8, choice of a profession. The competency we are dealing with is reading and critical thinking. This is our lecture 5A, and we are going to talk about responding to the questions. And these questions can be either simple questions that you can easily find the answers of, or they can also be higher order thinking questions. So let's see what is the difference between these kind of questions. How can we answer them after reading a passage? This is our students learning outcome. These are two merged into one lecture. First one says that ask and answer simple and higher order questions to assess or guide the reading. For example, questions like why is the author saying this right now? Why did the author choose this word? And how is this different from what I read somewhere else? So these are the kind of questions that are of higher order thinking skills. They are called HOTS. So we will understand that how we can answer these why and how questions when we are after we are finished reading the text. Second learning outcome says that read and view a variety of reading age appropriate and high interest books and texts from print and non-print sources. And we have interpersonal texts. They are letters, notices, emails, or notes. So, but the focus is on answering higher order questions. Now students, here is your vertical linkage, and if we move on further, before we begin the lesson, think about it for a moment. Have you ever answered questions right after reading a story or a book? Yes, of course you have. And what kinds of questions were easy and what kinds made you think harder? Yes, students, you can come up with your answers. What are the things that you find difficult when you are answering questions after reading a text? Yes, I hope that you would say that questions that are beginning with why or how, that are not directly stated in the text, but we need to think about it. Now these are thinking questions, and we call them higher order thinking questions or questions with higher order thinking skills. Yes, so now let's see how we can tackle these kinds of questions so that we can read the text, any story, any poem, or any kind of text and answer the questions correctly. Now let's talk about simple questions. Simple questions focus on basic facts and direct information from the text. They usually require recalling details or identifying straightforward answers without much critical thinking. For example, the answers that are very easy to find in the text based on facts, they are simple questions. Questions like who is the main character? You can easily find it. What happened in the story? Where did the event take place? Or what is the setting of the story? So these questions are simple questions that are mostly beginning with what and who. So what, who, and where. These are questions that are simple to answer, and we call them lower order thinking skills or LOTS questions. Now, how do we attempt the simple questions? First, we will read the text carefully, whether it is a story, whether it is any kind of text. Pay attention to key details such as paying attention to the characters, events, and settings so that you can answer the simple questions easily. Look for direct information. The answers to simple questions are usually found directly in the text. So scan for keywords related to the question. This is where we will use our scanning technique of reading. Answer concisely. It means provide clear, brief answers that directly addresses the question. For example, let's look at a question. Who is the main character in the story? The answer will be very concise and direct, and it can be found in the text. Can you read the answer? Yes. The main character is Alice. All right. Students, there are even simpler questions like with answers of yes or no. So they are close-ended questions that you can answer with one single word, yes or no. And then there are open-ended simple questions where you have to write one or two sentences. But higher order thinking skills questions are longer than simple answers of simple questions. So, higher order questions require deeper thinking. You have to take a moment and think about the question and then analyze it. They often involve reasoning, making connections, evaluating or interpreting the text beyond just recalling the facts. These questions challenge students to think critically and engage with the text at a more complex level. So you have to put forward your thinking skills, your critical thinking abilities, and then you can answer the question. For example, why did the author choose to write the story in this way? Why not the other way? So this question requires a deep thinking. You will think about it. And it's beginning with why. How does this character's action affect the outcome of the story? So how questions, they are also higher order thinking skill questions. How is the story similar to or different from another text you have read? Again, all these three questions are higher order thinking questions. You cannot find the answer directly in the text, but you have to read the text carefully and then think about it, make connections, make some inferences, and then answer the question. So this will take a little much time than the simple questions, but they require such time so that you can think critically and then answer it. All right. How do you attempt higher order questions? First, we will analyze the text. Go beyond just the facts. Think about the meaning, the author's intention. Why did the author write it? The purpose of writing. Is it for conveying a message? Is it for entertainment? Or is it for persuading? And how different parts of the text are connected. So we have to do these things to analyze the text. Then we will use our critical thinking skills. Reflect on why the author made certain choices, how characters develop, or what message the story conveys. So if we talk about the main message, the main idea, if we are talking about the choices and how the characters develop throughout the story, we are actually using our critical thinking. And these questions are of critical thinking skills. Number 3, support your answer with evidence. Where are you getting the evidence or the reference? From the text. Very good. So, number 1, we will use examples or quotes from the text to justify our answers. Yes. So, if you are making a claim or making a connection or interpretation, then you have to find something in the text as an evidence and mention it in your answer of higher order thinking question. In this way, you can actually justify your answer and verify it as well. Now, students, here, this is written by mistake. We have the advertisement from your book. Now, read the given job advertisement and answer the questions. We have number 1, support workers. So when you are reading this advertisement, you can find different kinds of questions attached with it. So, can you analyze, can you predict that which question is simple and which question is of higher order thinking questions? Number 1, how might taking up the newspaper round before school impact the daily routines and time management skills of the young people involved? So this is a higher order thinking question, because we are going to explain it with answering the question how. What specific qualities or characteristics might be essential for a trainee hairdresser to excel in the role of welcoming clients? So the qualities and characteristics are mentioned in the advertisement, so they are lower order thinking skills questions. Next, what are the ages of the children that the babysitter will be looking after? You can find the answer easily. This is lower order thinking question or simple kind of question that you can find in the text. Next, what are the aims of Coffee Beans cafes for their teams? Simple question. And what are the different career options available at Coffee Beans, and how can somebody or someone join as a team member, assistant manager or cafe manager? Again, this is a simple question. Okay, so we have one higher order thinking question and all the rest of them are just simple questions. So students, after reading the advertisements, all 3 or 4 of them, then you can answer these questions. Try to follow the instructions of answering higher order thinking questions and lower order thinking questions or simple questions. All right. So students, there is a main lesson attached in your book. The text, you will read the text, and for the classroom activity, what you're going to do is go through the classroom activity, these reading comprehension questions that have different kinds of questions. They have simple and higher order thinking questions. Try to figure them out, which one is simple and which one is higher order thinking skills question, and then try to answer them accordingly. So this is your classroom activity. Just quickly read the text and then come up with your answers. This is your simulation video that talks about simple questions and higher order thinking questions both. For the worksheet, you're going to read the text given in the worksheet and just answer the questions and mention whether they are simple or higher order thinking skills questions. For the homework, you're going to again take up the advertisement, read it and solve the questions. So this is being repeated, but you can practice your answers using these questions. For the resources, we have each one of these things available in the description of the video. I hope students that now you are clear about answering questions. You can answer simple questions with instructions that are given. They are having simple answers, and you can give answers of higher order thinking skill questions with critical thinking. So that's all for today's lecture. Thank you, students. Take care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz.